Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another video game haul. Alright, so today is Monday, I believe June 29th, 2026. I just left work and on my way home, I stopped by one of the local collectible video game shops. It's called Tony's Treasures out in Schaumburg, Illinois. I was here last week and I grabbed some games and I thought I'd come back. Right now, I'm trying to rebuild some of my SNES and Genesis libraries. Way back in the day, I had a huge collection of games, but I kind of sold them off. And lately, I've been getting the bug to recollect them, mostly because I purchased that console, the Polymega. If you're familiar with the Polymega, it's kind of this. It's a modern console, but you can kind of dump games onto it and onto your PC. So it's kind of a way of backing up your collection, and the way it catalogs games is really, really cool. So yeah, I'm back to just buying a couple of 16-bit video games, and we're going to take a look at what I bought today. All right, so first up, we have Jungle Strike on the Genesis, aka the Mega Drive. Last week, I got Desert Strike, which was the original first game. And the first game's cool. The second game is even better, which is kind of debatable, but yeah, very, very cool. I believe it's kind of like an isometric helicopter shooter. Back in the day, I really loved the Desert Strike, and Jungle Strike is kind of more of the same, but it's more of the same in a good way. And yeah, it's an awesome, awesome game. If you have a chance to play this on the Genesis or Super Nintendo, definitely jump on it because I don't think you'll regret it. Up next, I grabbed this. I kind of feel like this is an essential game in any Super Nintendo library. I got the original Donkey Kong Country. If you're a big fan of platformers, like Mario, Donkey Kong Country it's right up there, especially on the SNES. It's definitely a must-have in any video game library. At the time, the graphics were cutting edge. The gameplay was really fun. And it wasn't too long ago, maybe a year or two ago, that they re-released the game on the Switch. But yeah, this is something I really wanted to add back into my SNES catalog of games. Up next, we have Jurassic Park on the Genesis. For some reason, the commercial for this game, it's like ingrained into my brain. Sega had some amazing marketing during the early and or all throughout the 90s, actually. And they just had a way of making their game seem really cool and hip. And Jurassic Park, it was such a huge movie at the time. Of course, it was going to have, video game adaptations. And the Genesis game, it's not the greatest game in the world, but it's fun enough. Pretty cool looking graphics. And this is just, again, one of those games that I just felt the need to add back into my collection. Whenever I think of Genesis games, there's some games that clearly define the early generations of the game, of the console. And I kind of feel like Jurassic Park kind of falls within the middle. It didn't come out way too early, and it didn't come out too late in the console's life. And I kind of feel like when this game came out, is kind of towards the peak of the Genesis's popularity. On a technical scale, towards the end of the Genesis's lifespan, some of the games were really pushing the tech and the hardware. This game, if you look at it, it looks really beautiful, especially compared to some of the first-gen games. And again, it doesn't hurt that it's based off of a popular property. Up next, we have this. We have Jurassic Park on the SNES. Developed by a completely different studio. This game is very, very different than the Genesis one. This is a game that it was memorable enough that I felt like I needed it. I really enjoyed the Genesis game back in the day, and there was the SNES version was this different enough that it was one of those games that I don't know, it's just kind of ingrained in my brain. Again, it's not the greatest game of all time. I think it's kind of like, it's been a while since I played it, but I think it's kind of like a top-down shooter like Zombies Ate My Neighbors, I think. But I might be very, very wrong. I might have brain fog or a concussed head from all the times I fall on my bike. But yeah, this is another game that I really wanted to add back into the collection. I'm not looking to rebuild my entire SNES collection. It's that whenever I'm at certain stores and I see a game, and if it all of a sudden if it hits like a very fond memory, I'll think to myself, what, I think I want to get this back. Especially since some of these games are a lot cheaper compared to the games nowadays. You know, we're talking about the release of the next gen Xbox and PlayStation already. And then the prices for those, you know, people are guessing that those consoles might cost, you know, well over $1,000. You know, likewise, they just announced the prices for the Steam machine last week. And I think the base system's like $1,100 without a controller. And it's just crazy the price consoles are getting at. You know, we're into the 6th year of like the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series. And, you know, those consoles are seeing price hikes, which is ridiculous. You always figure towards the end of the life cycle of a system that the prices start dropping down. But because of the way the world is and because of like technology and hardware costs, everything is shooting, you know, through the roof. But it's a weird time. And I think now is a better time than any, especially if you're a younger gamer, to get into like retro gaming. If you're not necessarily concerned about like the collectible aspect of the video games, you know, whether or not they're mint in box or if they come in instructions, but if you just want the pure experience of it, you can find many games on the secondary market, you know, at a very cheap, affordable price. Likewise with the consoles. And if you've never grown up with physical media, there's just something very special about being able to handle like a cartridge or a disc in your hand. And again, you know, with all these 16-bit and 8-bit games out there, you know, at affordable prices, and with like the high cost of the next-gen consoles, you know, in the next coming years, there's no better way to jump into gaming, especially retro gaming, than some of these affordable secondhand games. All right, so that kind of wraps up my little video game haul. Again, I'm kind of on this video game kick. I don't know. I just feel like, I'm not sure if I'm like reliving my youth in some sort of weird way, but with the way things are right now, I just get a kick out of, you know, these older games. You know, when you just plug and play. You don't have to worry about updating game with a patch or like downloading like, you know, a 20 gig file. And there's just something very attractive about that. All right, so let's wrap this one up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. I greatly appreciate it. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of video games, and I'll see you at the next one. All right, later.